I saw Sinners a few days ago, and it's amazing. I know that's not a hot take. Everyone is singing its praises, and rightfully so. So instead of giving you a review about Sinners and just telling you about how great it is, I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's great. I think it's special. The first thing that makes this movie special are just the performances in it. Michael B. Jordan really cemented himself in my eyes as a great and amazing actor in this movie. I think playing two characters in the same movie can be tough, can feel a little gimmicky, but in this movie it works incredibly well. Both the characters he plays twins in this movie, and both of them feel like deep, full individuals instead of, the same person playing just a different version of themselves or something like that. And so I think that Michael B. Jordan really just pulled off playing two characters. He makes them likable, but in different ways. He makes us feel like there are emotions in different ways and really shows off his acting chops in this movie, playing two characters that are twins, but are also different in a lot of ways. The rest of the cast surrounding him, too, is amazing. I think the breakout one is Miles Canton. Obviously, this is really his acting debut. He's been a singer for a while, and he's been on a couple shows playing as himself, but this is an amazing first movie to be in. This is an amazing performance for him to put out there. This is a great movie for him to be in, and I think that he's going to be in a lot of stuff going forward. And I think that he really had a breakout performance. His character is so deep. We feel his emotions. We understand him. I feel like a lot of people probably relate to him. And he just does a great job all around. And kudos to Ryan Coogler for casting him for this role. I think that it's kind of a lost art casting actors in these big movies that people might not have heard of before. And so I'm really glad to see Ryan Coogler doing that and casting someone that I wasn't familiar with, and I'm sure a lot of people that ended up going to see this movie weren't familiar with, but they are now, and they're going to be in the future. I think that this movie is really successful in making us feel the emotions of the characters, and a lot of that is because of the actors and their great performances. The next reason this movie is special is because of the music. I saw Warfare in theaters before I saw Sinners, and Warfare is a movie with no music except in the very beginning, and then it has no music for over an hour of the runtime. And then I saw Sinners, which has music throughout. And for me, music is kind of the first art form I fell in love with. Music is really important to my family. It's kind of a way that we've always been close to each other as we played music together, and I still go watch jazz live with my dad, and it's a great way that we can all bond. And so this movie and its central theme on music and the way that it brings people together and it connects people, but also the importance of music in different cultures from around the world, and how no matter what culture you're a part of, there is music that is important to you. And so I think everyone understands that. I think everyone going to the theater has music that connects them to other people, connects them to their friends, connects them to their family, connects them to their culture, all these different things. And so I think that the music in this movie was just so perfect to get that idea across and show that. And so with how important music is to the story in this movie and the overarching themes, I think they made a great decision casting actors that could actually perform some of the different music throughout the movies. Again, specifically talking about Miles Canton and his great performances singing and playing the guitar throughout this movie. It was a great decision getting someone that is as talented at singing and performing as he was, because he really, in the scenes where he's performing and playing, he just really shines. There were multiple moments watching the movie where he's performing or another actor's performing, and I almost forgot we're watching a movie that's supposed to be about vampires or something scary. It just really brought the whole movie together as a whole. The music was just incredible. It permeates throughout the entire movie, and you just really feel it. The next reason I think it's special is because it is original IP. There's all this talk right now about, can original IP movies be successful in the current state of the industry? And we're seeing things like Minecraft probably going to be the most profitable movie of the year, but then these movies like Alto Nights and other original IP just aren't doing as well. It's still up in the air if Sinners is going to make a profit, despite having a really solid opening weekend. In the US, I think it was $8 million over projection, like $48 million opening weekend. And they still don't know if it's going to be profitable quite yet. But I think that this shows when you pair a great director and then a well-known actor together, they can make magic. They can make magic happen. I do think Sinners is going to turn a profit. I think that it's been getting a lot of hype online. I think all the reviews are great. It has like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has an A cinema score, which is like the highest cinema score for an R-rated movie ever. It has all these things that I think are going to make it successful. So I think what this movie is going to show Hollywood is if you take really talented directors who really care about the stories they're telling, and you pair them with, well-known actors, but then also give them the creative freedom to cast unknown actors and do some things that are experimental. I mean, there's a scene in this movie that I was watching and I was like, man, they really just let Ryan Coogler cook on this one because it's kind of weird. It's a little bit out there, but it is an amazing scene. And I think that for so long, studios have been kind of holding directors back and they've been trying to figure out ways to make the movie more marketable and change things and do things. But I think when you take a really talented director that cares about the story they're going to tell and you let them do what they need to do to tell that story, you're going to see success. It's going to come across in the movie. It's going to get better reviews when you do that. And when it gets better reviews, more people are going to want to go see it. And so I think that that's a big thing. I think another thing that's important about this movie is seeing the impact of a director that cares about their movie so much. So I think the difference between this movie and other original IP that have come out and aren't doing so well is I think Ryan Coogler is just really good about making stories that he really cares about. And that comes across in the marketing for this movie. Everyone loved the video where Ryan Coogler is talking about the different aspect ratios and the different film stock they shot this movie on and how they shot it for IMAX and what that even really means. I think what comes across in that video is just how much he cares about, how much care and love and time he puts into thinking about every aspect of his movie. And when you see that from someone, you can't help but want to go see it. You can't help but want to go enjoy what they created when you know they cared about it so much. And so I think that studios need to let directors make stories they care about. They need to allow them to write this original IP and come up with original ideas and create these movies that they really care about. And that's going to come across in the marketing, and that is going to be infinitely more successful than any marketing that they can pay for. I think another reason this movie is special is because the symbolism behind it. Using vampires to talk about the commodification of Black culture and cultural appropriation and things like that, I think is really smart, but also really easy to understand if you watch the movie. In the movie, Sammy, played by Miles Kenton, is this musician who has this ability when he plays music, he connects across time to his ancestors. And so these vampires who are essentially soulless but an immortal, they will never be able to pass on and go live with their ancestors in the afterlife. And so they solely want Sammy to become a vampire so that then they will have that ability to, at least get to see their ancestors while he's playing music and kind of connecting across the divide of time. So it's a really interesting story, but it also, it has that extra meaning behind it. And I think it's really easy for the audience to understand. I don't think you can watch this movie and not understand some of the symbolism and the different things behind it. So I think when you make a movie that has this extra storytelling underneath, you really are encouraging people to talk about your movie more. I really enjoyed Endgame and Infinity War, but the extent of my conversation after the movie was, whoa, that was so crazy that happened, or whoa, it was so crazy that person showed up. There's no deeper or underlying meaning. But when you make a movie that has this underlying meaning, you're able to talk about it more. So there are a lot of people talking about this movie online, and that's because it's smart in the way that it uses its symbolism, and it's smart in the way that it shows you the themes it's talking about, and making it easy to understand, but not necessarily just putting it out there right in your face. And so I think the movie is really smart in the way that it uses symbolism and the way that it makes it easy for the audience to understand so that then you can discuss it and talk about it more after. So there's a lot of things I really like about this movie. I could talk about the costumes, I could talk about the cinematography, I could talk about the writing, but I think the last thing that makes this movie special is Ryan Coogler's approach to it. And so I'm not even talking about necessarily the filmmaking process of this movie, but more the business side of it. You know, studios are scared after learning about Ryan Coogler's deal. And to be honest with you, in the history of filmmaking in the United States, when studios are scared, that usually is a good thing for us. You know, they were originally scared when they were going to make it illegal for them to own the movie theaters. Because if you didn't know, back in the day, when studios first became a thing, they owned everything. They owned the studio, they owned the movie theaters, and it just became this huge monopoly, and they broke it up. And studios were scared and said it was going to be the end of studios, and it wasn't. And so in Ryan Coogler's deal for Sinners that he negotiated with Warner Brothers, he made sure to make it a point that in 25 years, he will own the rights to Sinners. He will own the movie after, you know, this time has passed. And I think that's really important. I think that's a really great step, especially when you're talking about the themes of this movie. And so I think this is a really important thing in filmmaking. You know, Quentin Tarantino did this with some of his films. I think it's great seeing someone like Ryan Coogler, who is young. I think he's only like 38, do this. And I hope that filmmakers continue to do this going forward. You know, studios are going to try to replace us. They're going to do everything they can. They are trying to use AI any way they can. And so I hope that going forward, filmmakers that are in places of power and that have the ability to do so continue to stand up to the studios, get the rights to things, and stand up for themselves and their peers. I think that Coogler is setting a great example doing this, and I hope that we see more filmmakers do this in the future. Those are the reasons that I think Sinners is special. I hope that we start to see a shift in Hollywood soon because of the success of movies like Sinners, and I hope that we see more young directors like Coogler see success in the coming years. And so please, if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. Go see it on the biggest screen you can. I was lucky enough to see it in IMAX, and I loved it. If you can see it on 70 millimeter, go do that so I can vicariously live through you. But let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie, if you agree with the reasons if I thought it was special, if there are other reasons you think it's special, or if you have the hottest take of them all and you didn't like it somehow. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.